Better check that one, Howie.
I will do that.
No increase in food. We continually hear that food has increased 10
I
or
know.
11%.
I know.
In order to maintain the same level as last year, we have to either reduce the quality of the food or the amount of food or something, because it doesn't make sense that we haven't increased the.
Yep.
Well, we are looking at, in relative terms, reduced census at the House of Corrections.
The what?
We have a reduced census at the House, we're preparing fewer meals for the jail.
Yeah, but is that gonna, a 10% increase alone for food would be approximately, over last year's budget, would be
$52,000.
$52,000. You're certainly not gonna, we haven't reduced the gentleman in the jail by that much, and the ladies. It just, it doesn't make sense. I know that we can increase the cost of the cafeteria, but that goes on the revenue side.
They wouldn't show up in the expense
No, it
side.
wouldn't.
Rob certainly wouldn't be opposed to increased cost, but he took seriously your admonition to be as conservative as possible and feels that he can continue the same level of quality within the existing budget, but.
Well, our goal wasn't to move all the residents onto a weight watching program.
Well,
Every year it's the same thing, Howie. I think this is the third year that he's come in and with virtually no increase.
Okay,
That's
Howie,
a 30% increase in food.
check on that one.
I'll do that.
Propane remains the same, too.
Propane, let's see. He has his, does he have his own tank?
No.
What does he go? Or is this a portion? I thought the jail has the small tank. He comes off the big tank.
Is that metered separately, or is there one meter for the nursing
I
home?
gotta go through my books and find a list of meters.
What are we using propane for? We're not heating with propane.
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
Yeah, as a backup.
Propane is the backup.
Oh, are we?
Propane for the jail, propane for here.
No, but I mean for the nursing home, isn't that pellets?
It's
Yes.
The primary is pellets, yeah.
Okay.
It's pellets. And we've got two boilers over there. We got 1.5 million BTU and I think 500,000. So if we're using the 500,000 and we don't want to use them, the 1.5 million, we kick in propane with the pellets. Summertime, they try to shut down the pellet and burn propane during the summer months.
Okay.
You got, we're gonna add a category there, right, pellets? You got that in your notes?
I didn't
No,
have
the
that
the propane you're looking at in dietary is only for dietary.
Right.
for
That's-
cooking, right?
That's strictly for heating. That's for the
Food.
stoves.
Okay,
For cooking.
Okay.
That's not a heating expense at all.
okay,
That's all food.
That's all food.
all right.
There's a separate line item for propane on the
Under-
plant facilities.
Yep.
That's the backup.
That we really should perhaps combine into a heating line item, although we have a separate one for pellets, a separate one for propane.
All right, nursing department?
Wait a minute, David, let's go back here. The propanes for the stove, the equipment maintenance. Is this anticipation of some of our warranties on equipment running out, or is this a specific request?
No, this
Expected.
is just general overhead for equipment that's out of warranty. We also brought into the new building equipment from the old building, so we have some equipment that's older than Melissa.
On new equipment? Under dietary?
Yeah, nursing home diet.
We went from 11,000 to 36.
Yep.
That's a big jump.
That is new equipment.
Yep.
Question's gonna be asked, what's the new equipment?
Yeah,
There are four pieces that Rob proposed to you.
yeah.
Rather than guess, he had actually, I think, given you the actual split sheets on what they were. I know one was a special cooktop, and we have a bowl cutter.
One was a roll-away tray, heated tray or cooking tray or something.
Exactly so.
Bowl cutter and, they got them here somewhere.
They were a delivery cart, a plate heater, a bowl cutter, and a bowl cutter. I think those were the items.
We gotta find out from him if that's a necessity or a nice to have. I know he talked about the heating, making sure that the meals get delivered at the right temperature.
The plate heater and the bowl cutter would come under the category of being urgent or very much needed. The delivery cart would be very desirable, but it also could be preferable.
Oh,
But the
okay.
concern
I thought it was
always
the other way
is,
around.
the concern always is with deferrable, we keep hoping there's gonna be a better year in the future, and of course, things get to be tighter and tighter. I don't know that this is a relatively a good year. It's, Rob, as you can see in his projections, is very conservative with his expense figures. So he doesn't ask for anything that wouldn't be put to good use.
That department is up 6.9%. So you better have good backup for that equipment. Because that's a place where it would probably be reduced.
Well, and I know this is procedurally, and it might not be the right time, but at some point, I would really hope that we could take capital items out of operating, because it distorts operating expense.
Yeah,
Because his operating expense is as you noted with food expense, relatively modest.
Howie, what would you use for a cutoff in capital versus expense? What dollar amount?
I like to think $500 in 5 years. Something has to have a useful life, in addition to its cost up front. So although there are some things that last for a long time that you buy for $250, I think that's a really kind of a commissioner policy decision. You know, what is capital? I think something definitely that has a useful life of more than 5 years. I've seen organizations that have that threshold at $1,000, and everything else gets expensed out under that, regardless of how long it lasts.
Yeah, I've seen them a lot higher than 1,000. But are you ready to do a complete depreciation schedule and amortize this stuff? And are you, accounting-wise, you ready to do that?
Well, we don't, as you can see in our, we do not show depreciation.
I
as
know
an
you
expense.
don't, but I mean, if we're gonna start capitalizing this equipment, and we've gotta go through and list every fixed asset and give it a useful life and how much accumulated depreciation we already have on it, and that's it's a big job to do that. I mean, you don't just do that overnight.
No, you don't, but, looking at it through an accountant's eye.
We should be doing it.
If
I
we had a
think we should be
depreciation,
doing it.
it would show us what we really should be reinvesting. Is even doing nothing, that building is costing. It isn't just the variable expense that we're writing checks for each month. It's actually the future cost. And a depreciation line kind of reminds you that your capital replacement should at the very least be a percentage of that depreciation.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I'm just saying, are you staffed and you have the resources and the software ready to do it? is the
Well,
point.
we're actually very close to it, because to do
Okay.
this right, it should be part of the capital improvement program the commissioners have already requested.
Yes.
We need to have each of those items earmarked for replacement. The preliminary one that I gave the commissioners a few weeks ago actually goes out 20 years.
Okay.
So that at some point, we need to plan for replacing the item that we buy today that's capital. We know it's gonna have a useful life of 20 years, and in the year, 20, 2035, we need to show its replacement.
Doesn't the auditor, when he audits the nursing home, have to do that? I think if we look at the auditing report, it should show it in there.
Well, I agree with you.
Just the nursing home,
I
not
agree with you
everybody
that-
else.
I would agree with you that it should. I have not seen
think
the
it does.
auditor
I
ask
think it
for or
does.
look for any list of capital items or do a testing to see if what was purchased, and so that is a usual and customary part of any audit that I've ever.
I think the assets and depreciation is in that, because that has to be in, what is it, February or March of each year? And the auditing firm did something special for 2014 to get that in.
They should be in it, but it also should include not just the building, but all the
No, that's
furniture and
right.
furnishings.
That's right,
I'd be surprised, Dave, if the auditors were doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, very surprised.
If an auditor were going to take a shortcut, they would take the original budget for furniture and furnishings, because it's a new building, because they
Yeah.
have a reference point, and they could arbitrarily assume an average. So it might have been able to be done
All right,
as
well,
as an estimate.
okay.
But it should be we should be, as we add, if we bought one of these things or two of these things, we should be adding them to a separate depreciation schedule. We also should have a separate, and depending on your auditor, how we set it up, an amortization schedule, because there are some things, computers, that have a relatively short useful life, that you don't depreciate over 20 years, but you might amortize over 5 years or even 3 years, depending on the kind of equipment.
Typically, software and computers are just being expensed now nationwide.
That seems, apart from major servers,
Yeah.
the individual desktops really should
Yeah,
be expended.
the life is so short, it's not worth setting them up as a fixed asset.
I
All right,
agree.
let's look at nursing department. Now, look, under salaries, we'll get to that when we talk about union. Because a lot of these things change. Um, Now, in the nursing department, we reduced that by about 11,500.
The whole
It's
department.
down, yeah, it's down to 10,000. It was 21,500. New equipment on the nursing department,
Correct.
I'm not sure we did that.
No. Says it was the department head request,
It was a department request, right?
so.
All right,
The only note I have on nursing department is on line 17, education and conferences. It's showing the actual dollars spent as minus 5,355. And there was a question about whether revenue and expenses were being mixed in this. If revenues were being posted to these, to that expense line.
say that again?
Does that make sense? No.
No. Go
Um,
ahead.
Why would we have any revenue for an education and conference?
Yeah.
We'd have expenses only, I would think.
Well,
I remember-
We actually have revenue because we actually charge for our L&A courses.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But that shouldn't be reflected here, it should be on the revenue sheets.
Right.
So there's some sort of bookkeeping error in the actual
education and conferences is the same, it's 20,000.
Right, but when you look at the actual dollars spent to date,
Oh,
whenever they get payment for the course, apparently bookkeeping is posting the revenue to this.
yeah, it's got the minus.
It shouldn't be mixed together.
No.
And then I had a question stemming from that. Is there anywhere else in this budget where that's happening?
I don't believe so. Shouldn't.
The only other opportunity would actually be way dining services, and that's all kept separate. The cafe revenue, by way of example, the biggest source, is treated separately.
It's not, doesn't show up as revenue?
It shows up as revenue. It is
Separately.
not, it is not put back in to reduce
Okay.
expenses.
And you're saying, Melissa, that this must be mixed because it's showing up.
Minus.
It's
It's
a
showing
minus.
showing a plus or a minus.
In actual spent.
Right, it should be.
Check on that one,
expense.
Harry. Howie. Nursing department is up 3.2%. The major item is new equipment. We took out 11,500. We didn't, but somebody did. All right, plant operations. Now here we got some changes. We make a note, check with Paula on the salary item. It's up 5.7%. Now, I know there was some new hires in the maintenance plant operations that may make the difference.
I'll do that. Well, typically, it should only reflect the raises from last year, but that certainly wasn't 5.7%.
No,
So
right.
let me find out where that difference is.
All right, here's where the heating expense, we increased it by $33,000, from $67,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
And then we took pellets, increased that too, $97,200
From 75.
from 75, right? To me, we're still trying to compare the two, the propane and the pellets. And maybe we haven't got that ironed out yet. Although pellets went up, is that right?
Yes, not much, but it went up.
But you know, both of those went up $55,000. On the other hand, we overspent on heating expense. As of September, it was 86,000, and we only put in 67.
So I have a question. Could the pellet expense stay at 75 and you take that increase? Because you have such a substantial increase in the amount for propane. Could you leave pellets flat? I mean, it just doesn't look like. Spent 51,000, well, as of 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But you're budgeting 97, you're almost doubling your budget for pellets. Do you really need to do
Yeah,
that?
you gotta keep in mind, now is the coldest month. November, December.
Is this just based on when he buys them?
It looks like it's high, but
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's some
Yes.
seasonality to that. It looks to me you wouldn't be buying a lot of pellets typically in the summertime, so.
I don't know if it just
probably
stocks
fell in.
up or,
Well, we fell in the silos now and left them empty all summer, I don't know.
I don't know.
What does
Okay.
happen on a seasonal basis, and it happens right at the end of September, is our use of propane will go drastically down, and our use of pellets will go drastically up.
Yep.
As we start running
Mhm.
pellet, starting October, the pellet boiler is gonna be running virtually full-time.
Okay. But
So
when
which-
do you typically buy the pellets out? Or don't you?
Well, we're
As we
limited by
need 'em.
us, we try to keep a full bin,
Okay,
and that's, I think, 30 ton.
and we have to take a full load when they
We're
deliver
gonna
it.
take 25 tons when they deliver.
Otherwise, we incur a significant penalty.
Yeah.
okay.
So, and Bob follows that very carefully. So we're always keeping the silo full. It would be probably easier for all to understand if at some point we just combine those two lines as a heating line.
No. And we'd have no idea what we're doing with pellets or with the propane. Propane is the one that gets me. We budgeted 67,000 last year. And last year we spent 72,000, so we were over. We've spent 86,000 already, which,
On propane,
on propane, which puts us over
yeah.
19,000
Quite a bit.
already.
Well, our problem was that we under budgeted last year. If we go
Mhm.
back to the end of 2012, that was
Yeah.
over 100,000. The next year it was 73,000. We under budgeted the pellets under budgeted the propane is what we did. $67,000 as a budget was far too light. We're optimistic that pellet prices were gonna offset that, and we were wrong.
Howie, I'd like you to check on the building repair and maintenance. That's up additional 3,000. Plant operations is almost up 16%.
Most of that's heating cost.
Heating costs
Right.
is the big item, yeah. 55,000 right there. Okay, laundry department? Under salaries under laundry, that's for a person and a half,
Correct.
correct? Where's that other half a person? Where is he or she working?
Part-time person. So one-
Part-time?
One full-time and one part-time, so that we're able to have 7-day laundry.
So that person doesn't work anyplace else?
Not typically, does and will help out in housekeeping when needed, but not usually or typically.
Why don't we show all other classes, we show salaried workers or regular workers, and then we show part-time, and this one we just have them doubled up.
Well, next year we can put in a part-time. Check on that one, because I can't believe it's up 6.4%. Otherwise, it's up 2.6% total.
What's at the laundry?
Laundry, yeah.
Well, part of this doesn't make sense. Look at the propane,
Well, you talking about plant operations now?
No.
No, I'm talking about laundry. You said you were talking about laundry.
Yep.
Okay, I said, look at the propane. There's been no increase in the propane request.
That's right.
And yet, on the plant operations, there's an increase of, I don't know, where's my percentage? What's your percentage on the increase? I would think they'd go up both places, or go down both places, or stay the same both places.
Well, on the heating expense and the plant operation, it's almost a 50% increase.
Right, and yet, in the housekeeping department, or the laundry
Hasn't
department, you
changed.
show no increase?
Yep. And we're already, as of September, we spent 13,000.
Yeah.
Howie, propane to the laundry is not metered, is it?
I don't believe that it is.
I don't think so either.
So that's an allocated
So
expense.
some of that propane under plant operations probably should go into laundry.
It certainly would be reasonable to.
Except if they're spending all the propane for the plant operations on the plant operations, and then it doesn't make sense.
You know, we were using the jail laundry for a month.
A short month, part-time. Pretty much mornings only.
That even makes us look more suspicious.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't be using propane if we're using the jail.
That's right, yeah, sure, you're right.
If it's not metered, they must just be allocating a certain
It's
percentage of the
allocated.
usage.
Yeah, Paula must allocate that to the laundry.
Well, and part of that, because the laundry is part of the old building, would be from the heating expense of the old building too. Because and so that there's a heat component built into propane use in the annex that we don't control.
Do you know what percentage you're using for an increase in propane cost this year? I mean, is it a percentage increase that you're using over last year? Is that how you came up with the new budget?
From our end, it was based not on cost, but a balancing a rebalancing relative to the pellet, taking into account the current cost and just shifting the number of gallons, appropriately.
Then I know in Wakefield, our contract for the town and the school was up about 20% in propane. We went from $1.36 to like $1.65.
Wow.
But Dennis, as an accountant, what do you do when you get a utility like that fluctuates? We were paying as high as $1.60 last year, and as low as $1.19. And we're still paying $1.40. If it's gonna oscillate, how do you?
What we do in Wakefield, and the reason I know this is the food pantry is on the same contract, but we call up either one of the propane companies and tell them how many gallons of propane we want to buy for the entire year, and we get a fixed price for the entire year.
We don't do that.
We do that down there, and it's been very successful. We get a good rate. And we're heating the town hall and the schools and at the school and the highway department part of it and Parks and Rec and that, but we just go out and contract with one company and get a fixed price for the whole year. And if we can do it down there, I can't see why we can't do it here. So.
And is that multi-tanks?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. School, yeah, there's about 6 tanks they're delivering to.
Oh.
So you go out for that, you estimate what your usage is gonna go out for bid. What about all these 7 tanks that you have that other people won't fill? Aren't you obligated to go to the same person? We can't do anything out here because this tank doesn't belong to us.
Well, what happened was kind of interesting is last year we had Amerigas, and So at the food pantry, we put a brand new 1,000-gallon tank in, and this year we gave it to Irving, and they came down and took out the tank that belonged to AmeriGas and put in an Irving tank, and now they're filling their tank. So
Well, that's a little different than having a 30,000-pound bomb out here that we can't. It's a huge cost to remove. They've told us if we switch vendors, then we have to make sure that the tank is purchased by the new vendor. And then the insurance company, has some company comes out and absolves you of liability. And so it's
Yeah,
not
well-
just having a 1,000-gallon tank that you can come in and pull in and out.
I understand that, but at the school, our tanks are pretty large there, and I think, it can't hurt to invite in, the major propane companies.
Oh, no, you're right.
See if they'll give us a fixed price for the entire year, and see what they want to do for filling the various tanks. But I know we have multiple tanks that they're servicing in Wakefield, and I know we get a fixed price. I
Do you
just
know
thought that-
whether the facilities own the tank or not?
I don't know that, Dave. I do not
Okay,
know that.
let's move on with our budget.
Okay.
We can go into that another time.
Where are you, boss? Housekeeping?
Housekeeping, yeah. That is up almost 10%, housekeeping. Medical insurance, somebody must have went on a different plan. That's the major.
Yeah. 30,000 right there.
Yeah. Physicians and pharmacy. You have any changes in housekeeping or comments? The only thing under physicians and pharmacy is oxygen. Physical therapy, Howie, the increase for salaries is 7.4%. Shouldn't be that high. Physical therapy department salaries.
What number are you looking at, Dave?
I'm looking at 009.
Yeah, but what's your dollar amount?
It's up $7,132. It's from 95 to 103.
Yep.
How many people are in physical therapy?
That would be, I think it's three full-time, one part-time.
Well, if you looked at 2013, 12-13, that's 97,000. Before that was 97,000. Somehow or other, we dropped it down to 95. Now we're back up over 103.
And we've already spent,
71.
yeah.
Well, physical therapy department is down by better than 3%. Physical therapy part B was down 41,000. That's the biggie.
Your medical is up 8,000, and that's down 40, so that's
What is the total at the Department of Town, David?
The total,
Yeah.
bottom line,
Yeah.
325, 486.
No, I get
What are you
that, but I
talking
mean, what's the
about?
percentage you just gave us?
3.3, down 3.3.
3.3%, okay.
Recreational therapy,
That's medical insurance is the only real variable there.
I know why the salaries are up. We'll talk about that under union contract.
What is the estimate that department is up?
14.8. Medical insurance, again, 40,000. Medical expense kills us.
Sure does.
Social, you any questions on that one?
Hmm?
Social Service Department, again, medical expense.
It's only up $600.
Right.
isn't it?
The bottom line on social services is up 3.4%. Special Services Department, is down
Way down.
18%. When you take out speech therapy skills, down 50%. Part B is down 25%. Occupational therapy is down 26%. Okay, here's where we get hit on the new nursing home. Interest expense, $688,844. Long-term debt, $1,175,000. Nursing home, the enterprise fund is up 18%.
How much is it up before you do the bond? If you don't include the bond stuff at the bottom, do you have a total, a
tell.
subtotal in there?
No,
Okay.
Can't tell.
My early figures before the pay increases was without long-term debt and blind interest was a total increase of 1.6%. So we'd be adding wages on top of that.
Okay.
Something else to consider as you look to financial modeling, you would need to include the long-term debt, not the interest, but the long-term debt for cash flow purposes. But technically, that wouldn't be an expense. That would be, you're adding that to asset. The interest part, the 688, is clearly an expense. But it does represent, for these purposes, cash out. It's money that has to be raised and appropriated by taxation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it needs to be put somewhere, and this is as good a place as any, but at some point on a balance sheet, what you're paying back in principal is gonna be offset by an increase in asset. You own that much more.
No, yeah, and you're totally right, but when it comes to the taxpayers.
It
they're not
still
too
needs to be
concerned
raised
about
and
that.
You
appropriated.
have to have it.
Yeah. Why it's top of mind, can we go back to page 8? I still have an issue with Ann's budget. There's something wrong. If these have all the increases, there's something wrong with the way we've done it.
What page roughly?
8,
Page 8. There's no increase in
Yeah.
here under Ann's salary.
And there should be.
Okay, so, on the salaries.
Everybody else has an increase except this department, and I don't know why it doesn't reflect here, but we're going up every place else, Ann's budget should be up.
Is it one person taken out or?
It's like she just didn't do it for that one.
Yeah, I just wanted to point it out, that
Yep.
everything else looks accurate, but this one, for some reason, I
Yep.
don't see an increase.
But we have Ann right here, we can ask her.
But she didn't, Ann didn't do the budget, just, this came from Kathy Gary
Yeah.
upstairs.
Oh, she moved.
Downstairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ann has a question, David, if you want.
Go ahead.
When I did my budget and when we talked on Friday, you told me you were reducing all any salary increase.
Right,
You accused me of doing $1 an hour, which I didn't do.
but she should have put that in.
But you said that until the union negotiations were over, they
Yep.
would give everybody the same increase.
Yep.
So maybe it didn't get put back in, but
Well,
that had nothing to...
that's a possibility, but what he's raising is that it's the same as last year. You took a person out,
Yes,
um,
it decreased my
and
budget.
so that confuses the issue as to what's in there for this year.
Well, my write-up that I gave you, the explanation of my budget, you put 5,000 increase given by the delegation to the new register. And if you just bear with me a second, I wasn't real done with that.
Another question I have, Ann, is under microfilming and printer. You wanted an increase by $90? Is that
That
right?
had to do with the price of the paper going up, that's all. The cost of paper has increased.
You wanted it increased by $90?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we have to have Kathy Geary check on that, on salaries. And why would we separate out, your salary is included in there, right?
Yes.
All right,
Well,
next
my-
year,
not
next
for
year we'll
next year,
separate
the-
that out
the new
so that
registered
we'll have
salary will be
it different.
50,000.
I think it is better to separate from every department head the salary.
My handout to you when we first did the budget was the salaries were covering 5 full-time staff members at $201,074, period. And that included, that was the 5 staff members, and 50,000 is set by the delegation for the new register. So essentially, what you were telling me last week, and I'm not so sure what has happened since then, that you reinstated my last year's number, which I believe was something like 266. I wasn't prepared to
686.
discuss this today. I thought this was all done. I have it in here anyway.
Well, what's the privilege on the board? What we did was, we
Was-
left that person's salary in that she did not recommend. Do we want to take that out? Or we want to leave it in?
Well, let's be consistent here. I believe Mrs. Scott wanted us to leave it in, did she not?
Yep.
We told Mrs. Scott on the, going on to the clouds that she could talk to the delegation and the subcommittee and talk her way into it. I would think we'd do the same thing here, and be consistent.
So you're saying take it out?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we'll take that person out. Yeah, go ahead, Ann.
I've run the registry for 2 years without that position being filled.
Mm.
2 years.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you?
I have not refilled that position
Right.
for 2 years.
Oh,
And I left the first year, I didn't fill it because I was trying to be considerate to the taxpayers, and we were able to get our work done. And in fact, everything that needed to be scanned into our system has already happened. Most of our archival projects are done. So with the people that are left, the 5, can do their regular job and do archival tasks when their regular job isn't demanding of them.
okay, is 266 the right figure?
No,
No.
What should that be? What do you have?
It should be 251,073, or 074 if you round up to 60 cents.
251 what?
073
74.
or 074.
And then we put an increase.
And then we need to put the increase
On top of that.
on top of that.
No?
What we decide.
That covers 5 people plus
Yeah.
the register.
Yep.
But did that have an increase in it, Ann?
That did have the increase in it when I originally gave it to you.
Okay, do you know what the number is without the increase that you recommended?
No, I believe that what I had put in was for 50 cents an
It
hour.
was 50 cents an hour.
Okay.
In that 251.
In that 251.
Okay.
The 251,074 reflects 5 employees, the registrar, and a 50-cent an hour increase, is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Yep.
And all of the...
It also represents the increase for the registrar.
Yes, it
right?
did. It also, all the figures that were on my original budget were based on those salaries for, as far as Social Security, medical insurance. That was based on those figures, so.
Okay.
There's a problem that I have with something that was given to you on Friday, which took all of those numbers out and had totally different totals, so I didn't know where that came from. That's why I'm back here.
Okay. We'll get that straightened out.
That's okay.
All right.
Revenue. $11.26, is that what you got up at the top?
1126, yeah.
Okay.
County in general is going to stay the same with the exception of income from taxes. Sheriff's Department?
Well, one thing that sticks out glaringly is if this is the kind of revenue he's generating and he's only putting it in the bank once a month, it doesn't make sense. He ought to be using the check system and letting them fly through that.
Absolutely.
Well, forestry probably doesn't comes in as it's used. That 12,000 probably
Yeah.
comes in the summertime.
Yeah, but that's peanuts compared to the rest.
I know.
Still talking $220,000, that
Yeah.
for cash flow purposes, we should be kicking into the bank a little faster.
Special details is up. But if you look at 9/30/14, it's 40,000. In 12/13, it was 40,000.
Remember, he said he couldn't account for why it had dropped off so much.
Yeah, and he had it at 5, and we said, has it ever been below 10? And he said no, and we took it
We
to 10.
we took it to 10, right.
Can I ask Mrs. Aiken
Yeah.
a question? And you use the check scanner in your office, don't
Yes,
you?
we were the first ones to do that.
Do you have the same one as Cheryl has?
I don't know, I think we're both with the same bank, it's Bank of New Hampshire. At the time I did it, I was looking at TD Bank and Bank of New Hampshire, and Bank of New Hampshire offered it to us for free of charge. And so, obviously, that was a deal breaker, and we've been very satisfied. We get good backup if anything.
I just want to know whether we had 2 of those machines or one of them that you
Well-
were sharing.
We got 2 apparently, and it's in the same bank.
And yours may be used for 2 different accounts, depending on who she's depositing for. I know we have 2 accounts in ours, one for the surcharge and one for the regular intake of, because we process huge amounts of checks every day, so. and I go to the bank. When we have 350 in cash, then I make a trip. It's in the safe, but when we get above that, then I make the trip. And obviously, at the end of the month, I have to for accounting purposes.
And on the recording fees, we've got from September, you got any updated figure on that?
Oh, I didn't bring it with me. I could run down, I suppose, if you want to. Basically, from what I'm looking at and what I saw for the end of October, and I thought I might have given that to you at some point, and there's probably a copy in here somewhere. Keep making and making stuff, and then nobody wants it. So I can get an updated figure, but we are
Right.
still behind in revenue.
But you think we're gonna have 435?
In which category? For revenue? General
Well,
fund or?
no, we reduced it to 312.
Last year, the adopted budget was 435, 850, and they reduced it.
The recording fees.
I'd like to know where you are. You're just talking about recording fees?
Yes.
Recording fees, 312.
I can run down and get you one that gets you through October. After today, I could get you one that ran through November, because that'll be the end of our working month. If you want, I'll ask Anna if she can print one where we are as of today, this morning.
312 seems like a high figure.
For what,
312?
which
Yeah.
category? Oh, no.
312 is low.
Well, it's been 446,
Oh, that's not
417.
Our recording volume is down. I told you this, that we would
But
get
look
less
what we've done through
mortgages.
12 months, I mean, through 9 months.
234.
That's $30,000 more.
End of
3 more
September.
months is 90,000, that's not gonna come
Wait a
to the
minute. I
312.
have it through
if we read
October
that.
31st. Here you go. I don't know how many copies I have of this to share with you, but.
Well, just tell us what the figure is, that's all.
Recordings. This is on the revenue side, 268, 644, 57 through October 31st.
258 what?
268, 644
644.
and 57 cents.
Okay. Oh, that's,
Can I, why does the budget sheet say we're at 234 when Ann says we're at 268? That's a big difference.
Because this is
That's because
September,
it's
she has
September and
October.
October.
Well,
Two
this
different
is through
dates.
October?
This is through
Yeah.
October.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we're averaging about, what, 26,000, 27 a month?
26,000 a month.
Yeah.
27, yeah.
Some months have
Yeah.
been really bad
Yeah.
and some months have been better. There's no way to tell, but if
Okay.
you want to pass those.
I sure will.
Sale of copies, you have that?
I had the copies for last week, but nobody wanted it. Yeah, this should give enough for everybody.
Okay.
And that says January 1st through October 31st, okay?
Okay.
That'll squeak us by the 312 if it continues at the same pace.
Yeah.
I averaged it based on the food business, to get a figure for the last three. When I initially did the budget, we were only through September at that point.
Yeah, that takes us almost exactly to the 312 on the average we're at right now. Yeah.
$584, and you're predicting $692.
Say that again, David?
Where are you, Dave?
Well, she's got on her form, total payments, $5,842,314, the paper she just handed out.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong.
And then if we're looking at our budget, it's 692,520. So we're talking about 110,000 more, or, right?
Excuse me, Mr. Sorensen.
Yep.
Last year, that figure for the end of the year was to the counties for recordings and commissions for your general fund that number that is now over on the right-hand side, next to the last number on the bottom, the figure that is 569, 630, 26. Last year, what the total was through December was 804. And that's what I'm saying, I know I'm still lagging, and I don't know if I can make up for certain, for sure. And I know it's not gonna happen, because I'd have to raise 234,000 to come up in 2 months, to come up with that same figure that we generated last year.
Okay, anybody else got any questions?
I mean, if you annualize the year-to-date here at 10 months, it still puts us at about 700,000, very close to
Roughly.
the revenue line for next year.
And we said 692?
But in June, if you recall, I told you we were down 200,000. At the rate we were going, we would be down 200. So we have made some progress.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, let's look at jail income. Is he saying? Oh, there's no increase, it's 12,000.
You got me stumped on this one, Dave. What's pre-release? Why is that giving us money? Is that people that are out on a bracelet? Oh, that would be work release.
No, that's work release. That's
Well,
a new item.
Work release, they come out, go out and come back.
Yeah,
The other one, they stay home with a bracelet on.
On the 031 and the other sheet,
Yeah.
the prior one, that's where Kathy put borders or,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so.
So
it
the
just wasn't
7,000 is for Rochester residents.
The 031, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Our new guest,
Rochester resident.
Rockingham.
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 Okay. Okay, I guess I'm getting confused now with the columns. Is he saying we're not gonna have any work release money coming in? Or is it the same?
Looks to me like work release has no money coming in. Budgeted 20,000 last year,
Yeah,
and nothing this year.
but he only picked up 4,500 as of September.
But ask him about that.
And now is telephone income gonna be zero also?
No, that's worked in, the telephone income is somewhere else. Remember, they got a flat rate of $1,400 or $1,500 a month in exchange for lower rates. I wouldn't go along with what they were doing, the increase, and they went out and they negotiated a new deal. I'm guessing that the jail income is, the line that says jail income has the telephone in it. Has to.
So, are we saying the income from the jail is 24,171 instead of 42,000? Is that the way you read it? No income under work release, no income under telephone.
Right, I'm reading it as $24,000 and only 2 items providing income.
Okay. All right, farm income. Sale of produce. He's only got 2,500 in there?
That's all he's ever had.
No, wait a minute. On the sale of produce,
Yep,
he had $4,649 this year. Income.
oh, I see what you're asking, yeah.
And before that, the year
Yeah,
before
you're
that,
right.
it was 6,000,
You're
and
right,
then 4,000, and 6,000. Seems to me it ought to be the same. At least up another 1,000.
Yeah, I would think so.
Is part of that going to the nursing home?
Yeah, most of it.
Okay, is
For the sale of produce, yeah. Now, some of it, he said, went to food banks.
food banks, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what he was saying is he couldn't pick all the produce and he was doing firewood instead, and some of it
Yep.
we couldn't use.
What do you think? Can we leave it at 2,500?
I think we should lift it up to 500. But I think we ought to ask him, fairness to him.
All right, he's down $1,000. Let's just leave it. Let's look at maintenance income. No change in that. No change in interest income. Other revenue.
And the reason you see the larger numbers in 2012 and 2013, Dennis, is because farm was getting credited with changing pockets on, the nursing home paid
Okay.
plow, his
Oh.
building paid to plow, one pocket to the other.
Yeah.
Okay, under nursing home. And room and board, Medicaid room and board, we're down 71,000. Skilled room and board, we're down 488,000. Why is that, Howie?
If you can tell us what the state will do, we'd be glad to put in the number.
Oh, but
be-
we are
between-
gonna get some income under that,
Oh, definitely, but it's
but we don't
really-
know what it's gonna be.
The rates have not been set, and the state doesn't do it probably, and we'll be lucky if we'll know by the first quarter. So Paula adopts a conservative posture relative to revenue.
And the private room and board is because we're down on private pay,
Correct.
but we increased it by $5.
Yeah, our rates are higher, but our total number of residents are lower.
And are the increased rates reflected?
The ones that we voted on last time, the $5 for current people and $5 for new people, is that in here?
They should be. Now, I don't have your current list. Paula did forward that to Kathy, so it should be reflected.
All right, under private room and board, I got 91,000, I'm sorry, 2,402,000.
Well, that doesn't sound,
That's what we have is what you gave us, Howie.
But,
We don't know if they put it in yet.
well, we changed that last week, we increased it by $5.
So there's something wrong here, because if he put it in at a lower rate, there should be a change, and
Yeah,
I'm showing 2,000,004.
well, that's what I got.
As,
Is that with the $5 increase?
This was the 21st, this would be without that.
Without it, okay.
She needs
We need to change that figure then.
Yeah.
And that's changed only for those currently. We don't know what the new people are gonna be, how many new people we're gonna have.
Well, for budget purposes, we make our best reasonable estimate of what our case mix of census will be.
All right, you come up with a figure for that.
Yep, that needs to be added.
There's a lot of unknowns on the revenue side here, isn't there?
yeah.
Well, it should,
I mean, there's so many things that
yeah,
are out of our control as far as trying to predict the revenue side until the state.
but the bottom line for, is 0.1% increase. Now, with the $5 increase, that 1% will go away.
Well, it was already increased, it'll actually increase, that's a favorable percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it'll take it up, but I don't wanna misrepresent them. When we're talking about revenues of $11 million, the increase in private pay with 25%, with $300 a month, 10 people, 3,000, an increase of $30,000 is going to help, but it's not gonna materially change it.
Yeah,
David, what did you say the increase was?
0.1.
1%, 0.1.
Now, I'm comfortable that this represents a conservative revenue estimate.
Yeah, because we don't know what the state's gonna give us.
Exactly, although this represents based on what other counties are estimating based on state reimbursement. So together, we've tried to adopt a fair and reasonable approach that doesn't overstate it to make our budget look good, but at the same time, doesn't understate it to cry poor mouth. So I'm optimistic that we should be able to outperform these revenue projections, but I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Cafe meals, we increased that by 10%, by 10,000. That's taking into account that nobody over at the nursing home is going to get a free meal.
That anticipates that.
And as of September 30th, we're at 44,000.
Which was right about on target.
Okay. All right. Got anything else?
No. I just gave Dennis a note, Catherine Armstrong got back to us.
Yeah?
I was slightly off on my estimate of the giveaway program you had going for electricity, but it is up.
It's a
Approximately 25%.
It's a 22% increase.
Yep, and we didn't do that on the,
electricity.
so we did not do that on the,
Yeah, we don't, that $10,000 is not enough. We went from 90 and added 10.
yep.
We should be adding 20.
So we need to add another 10?
Yeah.
And that was on which one? The
Plan
nursing home?
operations? Is it?
Plan operations and
Yeah,
nursing
you
home?
had 90 and then you went to 100, you should go to 110.
Yep. Can somebody whip a page up here?
I'll get it in a minute.
Sorry, I was off. I didn't
No,
know.
that's, you were close.
I'm turned dead.
Well, that's not right.
What page you on?
It's not under plan operations then.
Let me see if I can.
On page 27, there's plan operations. We went up 33,000.
I don't even see electric on 26.
There is some plant operation, electric expense.
Where is it?
Electric expense.
Page
plant
26, it's
operation.
the last line.
Oh, yeah,
26.
there it is, yeah.
The last line on 26.
That's not the one we were talking about, though. We were talking, it was a jail, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Another
it
department.
was the jail where we were, I think, at 90, and
Yeah.
we took it up 10, and we should,
Well, we gotta go back to plan operations at the nursing home also, because that's way out of whack.
yeah.
Jail, here we go.
Page
029,
Page,
Page 17,
17,
account 061.
065. That should be increased another 20,000. That should be, commissioners should be 120.
You have it?
No,
120 or
Dave, we went,
we already did 10.
we were at 90, and you went to 100, it should be 110.
So we
Excuse me.
we
I
put
said-
it up
well, I said
another 10
120,
now.
didn't I?
Yeah, which should be 110,
So put it up another 10.
yeah. Is there any other,
well, we had it was at 90.
yeah?
We went up to 115. We need to go to another
No,
10?
we went from 90 to 100 on my sheet, Dave.
Yep,
On the heating expenses for the jail?
yes.
Electric,
Oh,
not heating, electric.
Electric, I'm sorry.
The electric,
All right, yep.
the
Should be 110.
Okay.
Now
the
you
rate
go-
increase is 22%.
Now you go over to page 26 on the plan operations of the nursing home, and it looks like the same situation. We had adopted budget 140. In fact, we haven't raised it at all.
No,
So a 22% increase, you should be,
What line is that?
page 26.
140?
61.
161.
Yeah, 140 on the bottom there, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that should be probably another $28,000.
Should be 170,000.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay, we all set now?
did you make that change?
I did.
Okay. Is there any place else with a large electrical expense that we should be looking at? How about the commission, how about the administration building here?
Yeah.
That should go from
What page?
13.
13, that should go from 42,000 to 51,000.
We're putting everywhere the electric expense up.
Yeah,
Did you say 51?
51, yeah, if you go up 22%, it goes from 42 to 51.
So those new rates took effect in June.
Mhm.
So by the time the delegation approves the budget, 9 months at the new rate will go by. So they can always adjust those come March, because,
Yeah.
right, because we've gone through summer, fall, winter, and into spring, so practically all seasons.
Yeah.
Okay?
Does the sheriff, no, the sheriff doesn't have a heating expense, does he?
No.
Dispatch center has electric in their budget though.
Who does?
The dispatch center has electric in their budget. Electric expense on page 11.
Yeah, it does, down the bottom.
Well, they gotta go up another 1,000 too, right?
Yeah, that goes up to 6,500. 6,500.
Anybody else?
6,500 is, that is the 22% increase.
Mhm.
So are we making this 6,500?
Yeah. Okay, are you ready to approve the total budget?
Give it even ask questions.
Have two motions,
Anyone
one
has
to
questions?
accept the revenue budget, and one to accept the overall county budget.
So there's no changes in any of those things we've done on this latest sheet you brought out?
No changes?
Yeah. We're gonna accept the budget, but we're gonna accept it
All
with
the
the
changes
changes.
that we made, yeah,
I mean, we just made 3 changes right there.
that's right.
Have you got that figure? Are we gonna do a figure, or are we gonna do,
We're
accept the
gonna
budget
accept
as
it as
changed,
corrected.
as corrected, okay?
And we've
So-
got 2 items from Howie to check on: contracted services and food.
And we had to do some work on Ann's budget too. We had to take out the 50 cents she had in and then recalculate on whatever,
We're gonna take out the individual,
yeah.
which was taken out last year or 2 years ago,
Yeah.
that vacancy position, and we're gonna add whatever the union contract, whatever we agree on, in the union contract. Let's hold the motions off until we look at the union contracts.
But
Okay.
Dave,
Okay?
Ann said she had 50 cents an hour in her
Yep.
budget, so you have to back that out
Yep.
before you add it.
Yep, yep.
We're
Sorry.
gonna change all of the subgroups to right here. Social Security. Those figures could also change.
Everything is already calculated.
Okay, are we ready to go into non-public? Yeah,
I'm on your agenda, but not any of this.
go ahead. And, Asha, you didn't give me that letter back from
Which letter?
Lawyer Lynch. You took it with you.
Didn't
I asked you to put it on my
Didn't I
desk.
think I put it on your desk, didn't I?
I didn't see
Then I
it.
have to check my desk, because I thought I put it on.
Okay, I need it because Ann wanted to have a copy
Well,
of it.
I wanted to see when it was postmarked.
Okay.
That was my reason, so,
I
Did he
gave it
send
back
you
to
a copy of the letter back?
Yes.
And he said this was unprofessional? I'm just trying to clarify, that's what he
Because,
did.
yeah, because you had handwritten down the bottom of
It
it.
was not a copy of the letter, it was the original letter.
It was his letter. We did him
Attached.
an enormous favor, I did. No, I'm saying,
Okay, I
David,
understand.
if we needed to put, every time we write a short message like that
Yeah,
on something, they forgot their transfer tax money, they forgot something, when we send something back, if we had to do that every day on letterhead, we probably would need another person,
yeah,
okay?
I-
This was a nice note.
yeah,
This was a note telling them that we rectified the situation.
yeah,
He sent the check to the Department of Revenue,
yeah,
not to me.
yeah,
We did not clear his check, the Department of Revenue, so I interceded.
yeah.
I called collections, I faxed them a copy, and I can show you my little stickers on the paper. I just thought, if he thought that was
The dollar value and so
unprofessional.
forth is not in question. In question, but was this professionally done by just handwriting something on the bottom versus putting it on a letterhead, typed it, and signed it? That's his problem. And he said we didn't have to correspond with him, he just wanted to let us know. Okay? That's the end of it.
And with my phone call, and what I did,
Mhm.
took time out of my day,
Yeah,
and we had it sent directly to us, so it couldn't get lost. We didn't charge him for recording it, nor for the copy. We sent him so he could clear his credit.
yeah.
It's a Department of Revenue lien. It's not anything that we had anything to do with, nor did we responsible for getting his release.
So I guess the question then is, why did we do it in the first place?
The letter came directly to you. Kathy opened it, Gary, and she came down and she said, I really think this is meant for you. So I went ahead, called,
Oh,
talked to his
okay.
wife, and that's how it all
I never
came
saw
about.
the original.
No, I know you didn't.
Okay.
And that's why I was curious as to whether that was, what date that postmark was. Because
Okay.
I had everything solved for him in 2 days.
Okay,
I'm just clearing my position on that.
okay.
You got a lot of information from Lisa Scott, and I'm trying to figure out which stuff came from Lisa Scott and which stuff came from other people. There's a letter here from New Hampshire Electric Co-op.
Yep,
Did that come directly to you?
that's the only one we get, that's the only one I received.
You received that directly from,
Was it addressed to?
That
says,
came directly from whoever they are that sent it.
okay, so that was sent to you
PSNH or
from,
Co-op or whoever it was.
okay.
We all got it.
Well, I talked to him yesterday because, or the day before, because it
And is
was,
this something that should be, well, you're not gonna be here.
when am I gonna be?
All right.
I'm here till January 6th.
Yeah, I
7th,
know, but I
whatever.
mean, I was gonna say, is this something that should be discussed with the subcommittee? Because we're not putting in our budget per figures.
I was just trying to figure out where they came from because
Okay.
it
We have no
it
idea.
looked like it had been set up and sent for them to sign. So
Mm-hmm.
you're saying you got it on your own, that's good for me. The other literature that she gave to you, and this is not going anywhere, I'm just trying to show you that this is very complex stuff. I also want to tell you that in that course of this, Belknap County she had this chart made up from annual reports. I talked with the register in Belknap County yesterday and got exact figures for 2013. And they don't make money, they lose money. I'm just warning you, you can take numbers and skew them to mean anything you want. The Stratford County prices that she gave you, what they made from like 2004 forward, I can beat every year on what we took in for revenue
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
without internet.
I've been accused of being rude by Mr. whatever his name is over here, but interrupting, but I think you made it pretty clear that we're not putting it in the budget, and the place to go is to the subcommittee, Ann.
I will.
And
I will do that.
and talk to them, because we're gonna have nothing to do with it.
That's
I
right.
am
She's,
interested in your figures, because I
she's
thought
gonna
they
have
were
to
wrong
present it
also.
to the subcommittee to get it approved and added to the budget.
Okay, then if you want, you can just pass it back, or I'll make new copies and send it to them. I do think, in a way, you had another paper here that looks like the budget,
Yep,
and all the figures for, you up the, that's, you said you've taken it out, but all the figures here are missing in the totals down here for Medicare, medical insurance, et cetera, et cetera. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you, this kind of is a misleading document.
yep.
I spent significant time going over every last part of this to make sure that everything was
Mhm.
the same as what I had it.
Yep.
So, I agree with you. It is up to the subcommittee, and I will be meeting with Mark, I think, either right after or before you give the presentation to the delegation at the beginning of December. I think it's the 11th or something. that
The
you
7th.
Present, okay, 8th. It's somewhere right in there. So I will
It's the
send
8th,
them
you're right.
information that, and
Well,
ask Mark to have a meeting with me.
I would suggest, well, it's our budget that's going in, so hopefully she already knows that she's gonna have to go to the subcommittee to get that portion approved and added to the budget. All we're gonna present is what our budget is.
Okay?
Okay?
I just want to make
You
sure
may wanna
nobody's
be
being given
available for the
skewed
subcommittee to
information.
fill them in on what you got.
I will,
Okay?
okay. That's good, thank you. I'm sorry I waited.
All right, thank you.
I also want to
It's
know,
snowing, by the way.
we haven't had an opportunity to go over the stuff that she left us. And I'd like Ann to come in at some time and talk and see, make sure that we understand her, the
That's what I
materials
was
that
trying
she
to
sent
do
us.
here, that if you're strapped for time, and I know the budget deadline is trumping down your backs, so if you want to leave it to another time, we can do that.
I'd
It's
like
up to you.
Well, I'm gonna go over and see her work, and David's got the copy of it, so.
Well, anytime you wish, you can
Yes.
either meet with me down at the office or invite me to another meeting.
I'll
Whatever
come
you'd
and see
like.
when I get it. 'Cause, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that in space of 3 years or 4 years, they went from $8,000 in revenue to almost 90,000.
Didn't.
They had to either increase the price or increase the number of copies or both.
Well,
But we gotta find out, we gotta look at the work.
all I was telling you is because I do mine in-house and the copies are bought through us, whether on the phone with our 168 accounts versus Belknap having 600 accounts, and she doesn't make any more than I do when you start taking out what she's paying for her internet service. And the same goes for Kelly up in Babson. She's got away from the whole thing. She's trying to put in just another program altogether, which you pay for everything you look at.
Mhm.
And then I looked at my comparable figures to Stratford County and what they took in for copies. They're being robbed. Online, all you have to do is bring up the document, hit Control-P,
Yeah.
and you're stealing from them.
Yeah.
And there has to be a method to stop that practice, to make it not affect our revenue,
Right,
okay?
okay.
Oops, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, what's the wishes of the group? Want to go get
Go
something
to
to eat?
lunch and then have the non-public session kind of thing.
Okay.
I will be leaving.
Do you have any comments on the budget? You think
Um,
Where we should be,
Yeah, from my,
from what you know?
from what I know,
Oh, I know one thing I didn't, excuse me, go ahead, Tim. Forget.
no, I thank you for letting me sit in on this process, I appreciate it, and for letting me make input now and then. 'Cause,
I think we get more out of it than you do.
well, the three of us are gonna be living with it come first of the year, so I appreciate your time.
Yep.
And you guys, everybody have a nice Thanksgiving.
You're welcome.
you too.
Thank
You know, the
You
one
too.
thing, before you go, Denny, the
Yeah.
one thing that we didn't, on our revenue, we're in this spot we're in with a surplus because we never raised the taxes to pay for the bond, and we still haven't done it here.
Well, you know, the state wants,
And then we get to have what the state wants us to save.
well, the state wants a reserve of between
5 and 10%.
10%. So just to get to a 5% reserve, or even close to it, I mean, to get to a 3% reserve, we need a $1 million tax increase.
And
And we didn't put it in our budget, we've gotta put it in or we're gonna be in worse shape than we were when we
really
started.
have to put it in, you know, the Department of Revenue is saying every town, every county ought to have 5 to 10%. So
Yeah.
if we're talking $28 million and you take 3% of that, you're at $1 million.
Yep.
So we really should not, I mean, we're in a deficit right now of about $70,000. And I mean, it's foolhardy to be running a business this size and not have some kind of reserve, so. we
So how do we put this into our budget? Is there a line to increase, there's no line to increase taxes, there's no, how do we
Yeah,
get
there is,
yeah, there is.
amount raised by taxes?
yep.
Yep,
And then
So that's the one where
that's
we
where you
wanna
do
kick
it.
it
that's
in.
where it
Yep,
goes.
that's where it goes.
And what's the
Absolutely.
amount we put in? $1 million?
Well, it's gonna be a rate high enough so we get $1 million, I mean, within 3 years, we should try to get back the $3 million. So we're typically, I mean, we've gotta raise this enough so we get an operating reserve that we're comfortable with. Now, you know, the 10% in my mind might be high, but at least we should be at 5, which is the minimum the state wants us at.
Well, we at least ought to raise enough to pay the bond, period. I mean, that's bare minimum, that's where we gotta start.
Yeah.
And anything we save over that is fine, but we don't have any money if we don't have enough money, and we haven't raised any money in here to
You see, the other
do
thing
the
that,
bond.
the other thing that bothers me a little bit is costing us about $100,000 a year in interest expense just to run the county, because of the way, you have to run all the year and borrow the working capital. If interest rates start going up, every 1% increase in interest rate is gonna cost the county $100,000. So, if we get back to 3% interest within the next 2-3 years, because the Fed's supposed to start raising that limit, every time we go up 1%, it's costing the taxpayers another $100,000 to operate this place,
So we're better off collecting it now than we are
Yep,
down the road.
yep, that's my take on it. Have a good holiday, everybody.
Same to you.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to come.
Yeah.
I'm confused when you say you haven't raised the bond payment, it's in your budget,
What do you mean?
the nursing home bond.
The bond payment.
3 years ago, when we made our first bond payment,
Yep,
everybody was asleep. Everybody.
but it wasn't in the budget.
Oh, I haven't seen you.
Good to have you here, good to see you.
Right
It's in-
now, it's in the Mountain View bond,
Yeah, it's in the bottom line.
interest
That's the
and long
expense.
term.
That's the expense. That's going out. There's nothing coming in. Or is that the revenue sheet? It's not the
No.
revenue sheet. We paid it out, but we never stepped up to the
But
plate and said we
that's
got
our budget. It's in the expenses.
Right, it's going out.
That's going out.
Yep.
So we take what is left over at the end of the year.
We didn't raise any taxes to cover specifically the bond. We took it out of surplus. You took it out of surplus
Yes.
3 years, now there's no surplus left.
Yes.
We're in the whole $70,000. So we have to go and make at least that first payment, and we probably have to do it 3 years in a row. If we'd done it the very first year, we would have had a big nick the first year, but everything now would have been running along fairly level.
And that's $70,000, is that based on the 2010 audit?
That's what Mr. Bulio projected, yeah, to answer your question specifically, yes, but that's what he based, if you amortize or strung it out, whatever the right fiscal word is, we'd be in the whole $70,000.
In the hole, or there's 70 in the surplus?
Whole. Short, minus, not there. And as Jack said, the very first thing we gotta do is raise, just to begin with, is 20%. And as treasurer, that's what he said. I don't wanna misquote him, but I'm sure that's what he said.
In 2012, we reduced the budget by $1,400,000. 2013, we reduced it by $1,400,000. 2014,
90,000?
I don't know if this makes sense.
You've used up practically.
1,095,000. 1,095,000. Remember that 95,000? We said we had left over from the previous year. So this year, we put in 1,095,000 to reduce taxes. And we're not gonna put anything in for 2015. Okay? So we gotta do that, and we gotta approve the budget. We gotta have a union contract, we're gonna talk with Howard. We'll have it after lunch?
Yep.
All right, we'll recess until 1 o'clock. Is there anything else in public that we need to, I'll open a meeting. Anything in public that we need to
No.
do any further? Okay, right now, we're closing the office at 3 o'clock. Now, we may change that, but right now it's 3 o'clock, changing because of the snowstorm. I'd like to make a motion that we go in non-public under RSA 91A32A, under compensation, and also RSA 91A32C, which is matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the public body. Those are my two motions. Do I hear a second?
The roll call, Commissioner Kenney,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Babson.
Yes.
So that's under compensation. So voted then. All right, my second motion is to go into RSA 91A32C. If discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of a person other than a member of the public body. Make that a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in support of the roll call?
Commissioner Kenney,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Babson.
Yes.
Okay, so voted then. Now we are in non-public session.
Yep.
You second it?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Commissioner Kenney,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Babson.
Yes.
Now, I guess the question I have, do we seal those minutes or don't we?
I would make a motion that we seal the minutes.
I'll second it.
Well,
Both
for
sets?
discussion, let's have some
Okay.
discussion.
Yeah.
Definitely the second part of that
Yes,
meeting we should seal.
that's the
First
one.
part, now that we've agreed on the contract,
Yep,
do we need to seal it? I don't think so.
I don't,
Or do we because?
I think we do because they haven't voted on
They
it.
haven't voted on it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we keep the minutes of the non-public session of, help me out,
The second one?
That they be sealed, all of them.
November 26th, the minutes of both sessions
The both sessions,
be
yeah.
sealed.
Both sessions?
Yeah,
Yes.
because they haven't voted on it. Once they
Yeah,
vote
okay,
on it,
so we're
then we
not
can
done.
open it. So both
With
RSA
a-
91A32A
Yeah,
and RSA 91A3C, both those items be sealed until, I know one of them can be released.
well, I was gonna add
later.
to that, that they both be sealed, unless the labor union contracts are accepted.
Yep.
At the time they're accepted, then they become unsealed.
One of them's going to be voted on Monday, so. I'll second the motion. You have a roll, any further discussion?
Don't we have to have a roll call?
Roll call?
No, because you don't
had a
need the
roll
roll
call.
call
Just
for
sealing
sealing
the
the
minutes.
minutes.
No, we had a roll call to come out of non-public. I just
Yes.
Roll
wanted
call
make sure
to
we did
seal
that.
them.
No, you
want-
don't need one to seal.
Well, it's the call
Well,
of the
I'm
chair,
asking
Takes 2
so.
seconds, we could have had one the time
Yeah.
you're arguing
Commissioner
about
Kenney,
it.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Babson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now we're back in public. We have a proposal here to put a conduit and a fiber optic cable between here and the old nursing home and the old nursing home to the jail.
David, careful so you don't disclose the price.
Mm-mm.
This is just a quote.
It's a proposal, yeah.
So So,
I just don't understand. We need, maybe you shouldn't disclose the company's name, but I thought that was done, we needed to have a quote, so we put a price in the budget.
in the budget,
So I think we should put a price in and disclose the price and maybe not the
if we
company's name.
disclose the price, then we can't put it out for bid because the others are already gonna know what,
So, but,
It's in the budget.
but that is what she said, that is what she did, that the reason. We need to put something in the budget.
I agree. Any ideas, Commissioner Babson?
Yeah, let's call it potato farming.
Okay, so why are we not?
Obviously, we're in between a rock and a hard spot here. We can't.
So that is what she said. Why are we not just put $1 in then? We put $1 in and just leave it that way.
We can,
If we're just going ahead with it, we put it out for bid, and then we will get quotes, and then you put in.
The only thing, David, is this is a proposal.
yeah,
If we put in the amount of money, which may not be bad, the other people bidding on, that are going to bid on it, won't know what's in this proposal. They'll just know the price. So maybe they'll do something differently.
well, we could put in that bottom figure, not to exceed blankety blank.
How about we put in, add $20,000 to it and put it in, leave them guessing.
Put $20,000 in the budget?
No, add 20,000 to that and leave them guessing.
Oh,
They
well,
go
that's
out
what I
for-
meant,
They go out for bid and,
that's what I meant by that figure. Not to exceed that figure, that's what their bid is, right?
oh, I didn't see that, hold on.
Okay? Their bid or their proposal is this. We could put in a budget that,
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yeah,
if
I
you
agree.
read what she wrote, it said this. They need, The-
additional equipment
Yeah.
necessary to complete connections?
so they need some more, so it will it's probably maybe more than that.
Oh geez, that's gonna put it up well over 100,000.
It's going to
Yeah.
be more, yeah.
The amount that's circled is how much? That includes the additional equipment, the way I read it.
You think it's
Yeah.
X plus the additional equipment
Right, equals,
equals.
yeah. That's what I think.
Why don't we put that figure in the budget and announce that figure?
I'd add 5.
All right,
Well, now
Make
we
a
know what it
motion.
was.
make a motion.
That's true.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we put
For fiber optics, conduit, and cable, not to exceed,
$80,000. They won't know exactly how much.
not to exceed
$80,000.
$80,000.
Not to exceed $80,000.
Do I hear a second? I'll second it.
Um,
Discussion?
You just put a number in, right?
We're just putting a number in, and we would have to put it out for bid. But it would be in our budget so
So
that,
everyone
something
who's
could happen next year.
everyone who's going to bid knows it cannot exceed the 80,000.
yeah,
So it needs to be under it.
yep. Okay? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Are you voting
Yeah, I
I-
voted.
in support of it?
No.
No? Okay.
Why not? Sure, why wouldn't you vote for it?
Well, I think they should have it, but, the way you're doing it, no.
But you're the
I
one that
think we
said it
should
should be in the
just-
budget.
That should, yeah, I said put $1 in,
$1?
yeah.
So what?
Where's the rest of the
so-
money gonna
So
go?
what happens if it comes in at $100,000 and we got $1 in it? We've got to come back here and ask for 999?
Okay, all right, the vote's
I
been
didn't-
taken, it's 2-1,
Okay.
that we put in the budget, the 80,000. And that goes under where? In our budget?
IT.
Under IT, correct.
I think actually, under capital expenditures, because it's a one-time thing.
Yes, you're
Yeah,
right,
you're right.
you're
It's
right,
not.
that's where we said we'd put it. Okay,
So you have to create a new line.
okay, that goes in. What do we want to do about this food increase? I would say we leave it, but it's up to you guys.
You don't want to put it in the budget?
I don't want to put it in. I talked with him noontime. He said the food budget, he's watching it on a daily basis.
Okay.
And if something goes up, he will select something else. If a
But he's gonna be
vegetable for
dandelions.
broccoli goes up, he'll get Brussels sprouts, so,
Okay, I'll go
All
on
right.
with it.
okay? What about private room and board, the revenue? He wants to increase it by 36,000, 35? I think we should do that.
I thought
Private-
we did that, we voted to increase it.
We voted to increase it, but this is the figure that would go in our budget as revenue.
Didn't we add that into the revenue side?
No.
Oh, we didn't?
No,
Oh, okay. well,
that was
yeah,
the
it's gotta-
question
it's
that
gotta
we
go in.
had, that he was gonna come back to us for, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's right, okay, yeah, no, we have to put it in.
All right, now, when that is added to the revenue side on the private room and board, 36,000, what's your pleasure on the revenue side of the budget to approve it? As we discussed it the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think we've got to put in $1 million on the
You're right.
expense side and then $1 million on the revenue side to get us back to where we have a surplus.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And we've got a $2 million payment for coming up, that's easily expensed out. Do we have 2 million coming in? And any line item in the revenue to pay for that?
All right, look, if it's put in the expense side.
Yep.
Then the last page under the revenue should show what the increase to the taxpayers will be. So it's in the expense side, and it should be in the revenue side under increase in taxes. Because she told us noontime
yeah.
that it was $2 million on revenues to be raised by taxes. That takes care of the bond. What you're talking about is getting our
Yes.
surplus back.
Yes.
And we're supposed to have between 5 and 10% of our total budget, according to somebody, that we're supposed to have a surplus.
DRA.
Which means we should have roughly $2 million in there.
Right.
But to lessen the severe increase, it's severe enough now, we want to put $1 million back. And so we would put $1 million in the expense side and $1 million in the revenue side,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
Was there anything else that we need to change?
We didn't change the food that comes
No.
off the farm.
Nope.
Okay. What is this back page here?
And under the sheriff's budget, the difference between the 18 or 17,000 down to 4,000 was taking out all of the computer stuff that goes into the IT budget. And she was to make any of the other changes that was necessary to be made, that we made this morning. The only thing difference was we gotta add that 1 million.
Well, this is what I don't understand here. You look at this, it says, other revenue, surplus to reduce taxes.
0 for this year. We don't have any.
Budget adopted last year, $1,095,000, that's right.
Yep.
And we just didn't put any in, it's not telling us at what level we have in the bank. It's just saying,
No?
right, because we know we're negative, so
Yep.
we have to do that.
Do I hear a motion? Correct me, where are we on revenue? We didn't we made a motion to accept it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry. I think you just did the motion on the fiber optic thing, but you
Okay.
didn't make a motion on the revenue.
I'm making a motion that we add $1 million to the expense side of the budget, and we increase surplus to reduce taxes. That's not where it
No,
goes.
no.
What are we gonna do? What's the line item for revenue? Other revenue? No? Special services? No?
It'd have to be put in as surplus. To fulfill the requirements.
Do you think, it has to go here, but do we put it under that line item? Surplus to reduce taxes?
No,
And we have a new one, or do we just call it surplus? What do we do?
I think we call it surplus, to be honest about it. We're
Okay.
supposed to have 5 to 10%, we don't. This will get us towards the 5 or 10%. Next year, we'll try to put in another million. So we get back to the 2 million that we used to pay the bond for the new nursing home.
Okay, I'll go along with that. So
Okay.
we put it in
So we put $1 million in the expense side, and we put $1 million in under the revenue side,
right, and we put it on the new category surplus.
surplus. Okay?
Yep.
Do I hear a motion to accept the revenue side of the budget?
Well, don't we have to vote to do the $1 million first?
Okay,
He has a motion. Is there a second to your motion?
I'll second it.
Okay.
All those in support of the motion, put $1 million in
Let's
expense
go with a roll call.
and $1 million in revenue.
Roll call.
Roll call. All
Commissioner
right, it's been
Sorensen.
requested.
Commissioner
Yes,
Sorensen, Commissioner Kenney. Sorry,
Yes.
did that backwards. Commissioner Babson.
Yes.
unanimous, so voted. Okay,
So now you're voting on accepting the revenue?
I'll
Yeah.
make a motion, we accept the revenue. Are we supposed to have never done this before? Are we supposed to put this in as a figure, or just to accept the revenue for the,
I would put it in as accepting the revenue as presented with the addition of $1 million.
I make a motion that we accept the revenue estimates for fiscal year 2015, plus any corrections required before the budget is mailed to Concord.
Second it. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. I'll make a motion that we accept the expense budget with the changes that were made this morning, with the change of adding the $1 million surplus as an expense.
Seconded.
Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All those,
No,
any
excuse
further?
me, David, not as an expense, as additional revenue.
Yes, we already approved
You said
that.
expense.
That's what I said. We have to put it under the expense to balance it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
It's gonna show up
yep, you're right.
as a $1 million,
Yep,
okay?
you're right.
Any further discussion on it?
This is the approval of the budget now itself,
We're
right?
talking about just the budget, not the revenue, just the budget.
We already did the revenue before.
Yes, we did. That's what I'm saying. We're doing the budget,
Yep.
okay? All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye. How
Aye.
about a roll call?
Commissioner
Roll
Kenney?
call. Okay, go ahead.
Opposed?
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
And you got her vote is no.
I do.
Okay. Anything else we need to do today? I need to get this down to Kathy Geary so that she can get it in the mail. Gotta be in by Monday.
I had
Worst comes to worst, I can drive it down Monday.
a
Okay.
couple of quick, really quick things.
Yep.
Over the course of the last couple of years, delegates have been asking for spreadsheets of
Yep.
the budget that can be a working file throughout the budget process. So I toyed with creating different templates based on the county budget.
Yep.
And I sent out an example to a few people. But what can really make this possible to actually happen for this year is my conversation with Stratford County Administrative Assistant and the administrator, who so very graciously agreed to send me their Excel workbook
Yeah.
that they use,
Yeah,
that the admin assist created down there.
yeah.
So all that would have to happen is taking our data,
Plug in it.
putting it into theirs, and then we have it.
Okay,
It gives you a really polished presentation for December 8th.
okay.
Can I approach just real quick, because I have it open, so you can see the difference.
Anything
I
is
have
better
to
than
leave it
nothing.
plugged in, so, sorry. I don't know if you can all see, or, sorry. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so basically what it does is, there's a glare, I can't see. Okay. The only one I've done so far replacing was for Carroll County is the Commissioner's Office budget.
Okay.
No,
So-
excuse me, I got a question, Melissa.
Sure.
Are we using their categories, or have you put ours in so that we can then change ours?
The only one I've done is this, the Commissioner's budget.
Yeah.
I've changed everything to fit us.
Yeah.
But
All the other ones still-
Jacking that thing up to, so that old Babson
Can you
can
see
see
it?
here. yeah.
Okay. So what each page has is,
Apparently, you're not blind.
no, well,
Crank it some more, will you?
sure. So,
There we go.
Just explain it. We need to get going.
I
here.
know. At the top of each page, there's a paragraph that explains what the department does.
Okay,
Then it has a breakdown with the sub-account numbers,
yep,
what they're called,
yep.
last year's, what's expended to date, and I'd really hope to have October 31st here, the unexpended, and your recommendation for 2015.
All right, we're gonna need another column for them.
So we can add a delegation column,
Oh,
or
them being the delegation.
Yes.
we could delete this column and make this the commissioners and this the delegation, because we don't really need to know how much. We just need to know how much is spent today. We don't need to know how many dollars are left.
I disagree with you, Melissa. That's one of the important things, you know, they're all sitting here dividing them, September by 10 months and then adding 2 more on and trying to come up with a round figure. I think that's really important.
Can it be pushed in together so we can get
You
another
can move
column?
this thing all the way over here because you don't have anything in here.
I can try, yeah. So, over
But you know,
here,
the question, they're gonna look at what happened previous years other than 2014.
right, so they're still gonna get
They're gonna get
the
this
big
whole
chunk
budget.
packet.
All right.
But the main thing about this is it provides more detail. You've got a lot of new delegates and a new commissioner coming on board, and you'll
Yeah.
have all these notes, and it's easier to use. So over here in the commissioner's recommendation, let's say that that's actually delegation, and I want to change it to 2,000 while I'm sitting here at the table. So it will change that. It changes the bottom line.
Yeah,
It's also linked up here, so it changed that.
yep,
Changed what?
It changed the total department budget up here,
Oh, okay.
which also translated into, it changed the increase over last year.
yeah.
It changed the
Gives you
percentage.
percentage too?
It gives you the
Wow.
whole percentage here. You know, it's just a working thing.
So if they change it, you can come up with a figure right away.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, sounds good.
And then at the bottom of each department budget, it has lines. So it tells you what's in each line.
Great.
So how many employees are covered, how much the dental is, how much the deductibles are, whatever the heck you can have.
You can do that for
Whatever
the
you
whole
want.
budget?
I can.
For a fee.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do it.
What's the fee?
I'm willing to do it and have it ready. My proposal is up to 24 hours of time at $15 an hour. There's money in the recording secretary line to do it.
That's what they want.
And that's what
wanna
they've wanted
be-
for several years.
They want to change, if they change a figure, they want to know what's happened to the budget. And percent change, you got everything right there. That's exactly what they want.
And it takes
And
all of
exactly what we
these,
want.
takes all of these notes that we've written on 17
Yep.
different copies
Yep,
and puts them
yep.
on one spreadsheet, so that when someone
Oh,
asks you a
yeah.
question, you can look down and say, oh, that's what that is.
Where are the explanations of changes that you'd make on that? I didn't see those.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
They're there,
If
they're
we
at the
change,
bottom.
if we change, because they're gonna go from broccoli to sweet potatoes in the food thing,
Yeah,
and we put it in there, where is the explanation that change? The dollar is in there, but where's the explanation of what it's for?
we can do
It's
that
all
down
on the
here.
bottom.
Down the bottom,
On the
okay.
bottom,
And
so-
each line is numbered, so you can get down the bottom and check it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could say, what the heck is, what's in the travel expense? Where are they going? Well, if they brought it up here and you've discussed it, or
Yep.
then I'll plug it in.
I agree to
And
you
you'll have
doing
it.
it. It'd be fantastic if you could pull that off.
Okay, well, if you would support that and you would take a vote to
I will
that, I
make
could
the
get
motion
started
that
as
we-
soon as Kathy's got the budget together.
I make a motion that we accept Melissa's generous offer to build us a spreadsheet that isn't a report.
Second.
But is a actual accounting where we can make changes and see what happens.
Any further discussion?
Yes, discussion. We have 3 people there down the business administrative office. They can just get a copy from Stratford County, and one of them can do that. We already have 3 people there on the payroll. I don't know why we have to waste some more money and just pay a minute taker just to do the spreadsheet.
Go ahead.
I think it's
I'll tell you
absolutely
why,
crazy.
Commissioner Kenney, because you're in here maybe 4 hours a week. You're not in here to see how hard these girls are working.
I know.
How often there isn't 3 of them down there. They just don't have the time to put 24 hours in to come and make this up for us. Ordinarily, if we had extra people sitting around, I'd agree with you 100%, but we don't.
I can't
And
believe
one
that,
other thing
I can't
is
believe
that-
that they cannot do that.
You are requesting a lot of information from them, which is extra from what they would normally do.
Every county, you can put in right-to-know requests, and people can ask, and this extra
I'm not
work,
saying that, I'm just
right?
saying that's what
And
you're doing.
And everyone is doing it. You know, when I put something in another county or whatever in the state, I just get it just like that.
That's their problem, not mine.
Yeah, well, it's not a problem.
Okay.
They
Wanted
can
to
do
All
it.
those in support of
Oh,
the
sorry, you
motion?
didn't vote.
All those in support of the motion? Roll call.
Commissioner Kenny?
I'm opposed. It is-
Okay?
It's
Commissioner
a waste
Sorensen?
of
Yes, I support
taxpayers'
it.
money.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes, very definitely.
Okay. While I was researching some of the account numbers, I went to the New Hampshire Department of Revenue website because I wanted to see their revised rules.
Yeah.
They do all of the categorizing by number that we talked about, how every county is 41,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if the county is aware or when it has to be done by, or I don't understand what happened, but in August 8th of 2014, the rules at DRA were revised,
Mm-hmm.
and the financial accounting codes for counties
Changed?
all changed. When you file...
All of them changed, or some of them? All of them?
Yeah, I kind of show all of them changing, because I went through, I was like, oh, maybe a couple, and then I started going through and like...
Melissa, excuse
When
me.
you go to the MS-42, which to file, what's
Yeah.
appropriated or whatever, that form matches the new numbers. You might be able to get away the first year, because this is gonna take a lot of time reorganizing
Yeah.
the whole budget, because not only did the numbers change, but how you categorize things
That was
changed.
my question.
There's now a new account for, it's not slush funds, what do we call it? Contingency funds.
Yeah.
So like the inmate thing you just did, it gives you a place to put stuff like that. It also has an account for financial administration. It separates that from executive. Executive is the commissioners, financial administration is the treasurer, the finance people, the auditors.
Yeah.
So it's reorganizing really your whole budget. So you'd probably be able to get away with it this
We
cycle
can work on it
because-
next year, right?
but
Not gonna
it's-
do it today.
No.
I'm just making you aware, and I'm
Yeah.
not I don't know where, if DRA sent something to like
I haven't seen
people
anything
know
like
how those changes get communicated to the county offices, or where Or if we know and just haven't had time, or where,
Nothing was brought to my attention that it was changed.
and I had
This
no
happened in
idea.
August?
August 8th.
Okay.
We haven't seen that.
The last time it was revised was at 2006, so it's been a long time, and they
Yeah.
completely revamped.
Melissa, in there, are there serious changes? Let's say, point, 039 is, rubbish removal
It-
and trash.
It doesn't,
Does it now, is there big drastic changes like, 039 will now be trash and, whatever else is on that line? They're gonna, the girls are gonna have to take a whole bunch of time going back into the past year and splitting it up?
I don't think so, because it doesn't, DRA doesn't say that you shall use all those subcategories, they only say you shall use the main numbers. So like executive is now 4130, commissioners used to be 4100. It changes the main heading, what you do
So the main
inside
heading's what
that.
goes on the MS sheet, so you can break it down virtually any way you want, as long as you
Right.
have commissioners at the top.
And some of those subcategories might have to be moved to a new main category, because they've reorganized what's
Right.
underneath each one, but they don't tell you how to number what's inside. They just tell you how to number the main
Okay,
things.
let's work on that for next year.
So I just want, I hope it doesn't create a problem through the budget cycle, but
Why don't we put this one in the way it is, and try to find out if anybody downstairs knows anything about this after the
I'm
budget's
sure
in, so
if
we
it
don't-
has to be reported on the MS 45 or whatever it is, then she must change it.
yeah, because her
Doesn't go
categories
through
don't match
all that
the
stuff, it's
numbers.
just
Right.
major categories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
seconded. Okay, been made and seconded. All those for the motion say aye. So voted.
350. Did you have public comment?
Why is the,
Oh,
what's the final number?
for,
We don't know yet, Ed, because she's downstairs making those corrections that we did this morning.
Is the business office open on